What is going on, my beat sorcerers? How you feeling out there? You are tuned into the 20 podcast. I'm your host, DJ Spider. We're back again. Another amazing episode coming to you. I am so glad to be back doing this on a regular basis. We are here weekly for you. Make sure you rate and review us on YouTube if you're watching us, Apple Podcasts if you're listening to us, Spotify. We're on all the platforms, and we couldn't do it without you guys. Really appreciate you. And we couldn't do it without Beatsource, of course, the music streaming service for DJs that play everything, just like you and me. Beatsource got all the music you could need for every gig. We got expertly curated playlists, and we've got Beatsource Link, which allows you to DJ from the cloud and stream from the cloud. But we also have the offline locker account, so you can save up to 1,000 songs offline if you're worried about not being able to access the Wi-Fi. So try it out. Head over to beatsource.com for a 30-day free trial, or use our code the20 for a 60-day free trial, and let me know what you think. All right, you guys, on today's show, we have got an amazing guest. We've got someone who's an LA native, but also an OG in the LA scene. You can hear him every morning on KCRW playing endless amounts of dope music and eclectic music as one of the co-hosts of the legendary radio show Morning Becomes Eclectic. He's a super down-to-earth, humble person that has an amazing creative brain in many ways. He has this great talent for music discovery as well as just genre blending. So he's the perfect person for this show, along with his host, Novena Caramel. They're both incredible DJs and personalities, and it's so fun to listen to them every morning. We also get into his love of wrestling, his dog, his philosophies on life, DJing, surfing, you know, all these really cool things that you get to get into the mind of a DJ apart from just the DJing. But of course, we hit you with the nerdy DJ talk and the music organization and some really cool tips and tricks that he gives us. It was an honor to have him on the show, so please welcome Anthony Valadez. All right, we are here. It is the 20 podcast, and we have got in the building Anthony Valadez. That's right.
Air horn.
Let's go. Let's hear it.
Do I have a theme song? What do I get?
Right now, there's so many people cheering. You just got to envision it in your head. It's coming from all over. It's coming from the streets out there.
Yeah, at the Forum, Staples. They're just all cheering.
It's all coming together.
I feel it.
Dolby Atmos sound.
And then the Lion, 20th Century Fox.
Let's hear it. Air horns. Air horns. See? Boom. That's what these do. You just can't hear it right now, but it's happening. Post-production, baby.
Imagine it. CGI.
Yo, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I know you just have come off doing, what, a 4-hour radio show?
3-hour radio show.
3-hour radio show.
Feels like 4 hours.
Right. I'm sure you're there a little early and a little bit later. And
all the time.
The prep time must be insane.
All the time. I'm always there early. I always love to show up to things early because you got to be prepared for the unexpected.
I mean,
sometimes the unexpected never happens and you're like, oh, I'm here an hour early.
Right.
Just,
Right.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I need to take that advice. I always tell myself that, and then at the last second, I'm rushing. I'm like, oh, why didn't I come here early enough?
You're that kind of person?
I am a little bit. Well, somehow I was ready when you got here today. So I made it happen, but I was pushing it.
I think being a DJ, you're always flexible. You know, did you bring the right power cord? Did you bring the USB cord? Are the phases charged?
I'm definitely over the top. Backup, like behind you is like cameras upon other adapters and cords and everything. So we made this work. Our wonderful cameraman Vlatz is out of town, everybody. So I'm doing it. What do you think? Clear? But yes, you do a radio show, an amazing radio show that is like a staple in Los Angeles and now probably worldwide, I can only imagine, with streaming and everything. And a show that I think has been on, correct me if I'm wrong, like 45 years or something.
That's correct.
That's insane. I mean, I was born in 77, and I think the show came on in 77. But Morning Becomes Eclectic. On KCRW, which is the Santa Monica and LA station, you know, and then I'm sure it's syndicated on a bunch of other ones.
It does its thing.
It definitely does its thing. It's just a legendary show that, like, I feel like has been listened to by so many people and a lot of like industry people. Like I remember I wanted to be a music supervisor and a composer for movies and all this stuff coming out of college. And of course I was DJing at the same time, but I would work in a lot of offices just filing the CDs or whatever job I could do. You know what I mean? Doing the expenses for the composer guy and whatever. And every single one would have Morning Becomes Eclectic on every morning for 3 hours straight. Yeah. And they would listen, you know, and this was pre-Shazam or any of this stuff, you know what I mean? And that's where they would hear a lot of their stuff that they would use in movies and TV shows and a lot of the industry people, you know, and I feel like you guys are truly breaking new artists and introducing new sounds and doing things that, you know, just super important things that DJs are supposed to do. And
what's funny you say about all that is I thank you first and foremost, but like we're not like, we're just music fans. Like my partner Novena and I, like,
that's why it's dope.
We're just music heads that look for music. We go to record stores, we look in the record bins, and it's all about digging. Like it comes from the core of the DJ culture. And so when I hear folks that are in the industry, like, I mean, that's such, it's so foreign in my head, the industry, because we simply we play what we love. Right.
Well, I think that was almost the beauty of it. And yes, shout to your co-host, Novena Caramel. Like, she's amazing too in her own right. And, you know, I'm sure brings an endless amount to the show. I'd love to have her on this one day, you know, and pick her brain. But I think that's like what you're saying, the beauty of it is that the show, your radio show, is done by two people that love music and has been historically done by people that love music and just want to bring it. That's why I started DJing. You know, I was doing college radio, and like the fact that I could find a record somewhere in the world and then play it on my radio show and someone would go, "What is this?" And I would introduce them to something new, was like, that was my goal and made me feel so good. And I think you guys are doing that to people that are in the industry and in the rat race type thing, you know, because working at those jobs, that was part of the reason that I don't do those jobs now, you know, even though they're cool. And I think there's a lot of cool people that do them, and who knows, maybe I would want to do it sometime in the future. But there was something about it too that was stifling. Like they would have your hands tied, so you guys can play all the music just from the love of it, but the people licensing it would have to like make a deal or go through the politics or all the paperwork and all that crap. So for them, it's nice to hear all of it unfiltered. Then they get to pick through, I guess.
I mean, I've been in the same situation as you. Like, I was a fan of KCRW growing up. And I remember interning at DreamWorks and Interscope, and like hearing Morning Becomes Eclectic, I'm like, oh, that's my favorite show.
Right.
Oh, you like KCRW too? And like, here I am. So it's like full spectrum. It's really crazy.
That's nuts.
It is.
That's so cool. I mean, that's the amazing thing about DJing and being creative and being in a place like this and just putting in the work and putting in the time and being patient is that your dreams could come true and anything is possible in this world through music and through DJing, you know. So,
you're so right.
You grew up here, right?
Yeah.
Like I've heard you. Okay, so I heard you talk about like DJing house parties in Sylmar and Pacoima, and I figured you're, you know,
still alive.
Came up in the valley. Yeah, you're still alive. I mean, DJing house parties in Pacoima, that could get crazy.
Oh, it was always like the gangbangers would always come and ruin it for everybody else. Right. The gangbangers would come up to the DJs. Like I have horror stories about DJs. Or
oh my god,
gangbangers.
Like what?
Like telling me like there's a joke amongst the DJs in the 818 from the 90s. Like they would always come up and say like, "Hey Holmes, play some old school." Like they always wanted to hear old school, right? And like we're playing house and hip hop, and like, and, you know, and then the cops would come, or sometimes even like we'd call the cops on our own parties because like the cholos were coming, the gangbangers were coming. And it was just like, yeah, man, when I think about it, like I paid my dues, man. Like, dealing with the cholos and also like just sleeping in my car for DJ gigs. Like I remember having an internship on the west side, DJing on the west side, but living in the valley. Right. And after a gig, I would just sleep in my car off PCH and then go to like Izzy's Deli, kind of clean up, get breakfast, and then go to my internship. Like, oh my God. There was no instant I mean, you know, there was no instant gratification in DJing back in the day. Yeah. You know?
Oh, no, not at all. And same exact thing. I remember I had a job in Malibu, and I would DJ like the Malibu Inn or somewhere in Santa Monica, and I'd just try to stay around there. Yeah. Because then I'd have to be there in 3 hours anyway. Yeah. And I mean, you do what you have to do. And back then there was vinyl. You would have had to carry all the shit up, or, someone's going to steal that out of your car.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I forgot about the vinyl part. Yeah, that wasn't fun.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that was fun, for the digging and introducing people, but yeah, carrying that around, not the best.
But the 818, definitely a warm, special place in my heart. I mean, there's so many different folks that live in the Valley, and I think that's what kind of helps me with like just understanding the different folks of people. Like, like walking into a room, like, how do I rock this room?
Yes.
These folks from all different demographics.
Right.
What's that common denominator that's going to get everybody moving?
Right.
That's like the Valley,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone's kind of mixed together. And like the Valley's changed a lot. You live now in Venice, right?
Yeah.
You're like beach Venice life.
Beach Venice, dude. I do yoga. I surf.
Oh man,
like I became the person that I never thought I'd become. You know what I'm saying?
That's funny because I actually grew up in Santa Monica and I live in the Valley now, and I became the person I would never become. I thought I'd live in Venice, be chilling on the beach, surfing. I mean,
Venice is great. Venice has a great energy. It's got its own little thing, and like I'll go out walk my dog, but then I go back inside. Like I can only take so much of it. But
Venice is crazy. Yeah. Like Venice has gone through so many crazy evolutions. I feel like there was a time when I was a kid where you could not go to Venice. Like you would get jacked. Or
I've been jacked in Venice as a kid. I know.
Right. Yeah, I definitely had skateboards stolen, mouth punched.
Yeah.
All right, take my shit. So, but it's different now. And then now there's like the rich neighborhoods, and then the boardwalk, and
it's everything. Like literally. Yeah, it's everything. I mean, lately, like, it's been a dark place, to be quite transparent. Like, a lot of folks, I think there's PTSD from the pandemic.
Yes.
And I'm like, we've lost 3 people on my street recently, whether it was suicide or just bad health, and things are happening. And it could get dark, but then you walk your dog and then you see people happy that are paying all this money to come there to enjoy and escape. And it's like, it's a reminder that you live in a special place.
Totally. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's like everything. Like you can be on the internet, like scrolling around and be like, oh, the news is horrible. We're all going to die. Yeah. And then you go on a walk and you're like, oh, there's like birds chirping, and actually life is good in other ways,
Absolutely.
You have to get that perspective.
Got to get out of that bubble.
Especially as DJs, I do notice just on some mental health type thing, like, sometimes you have a long night and you wake up and you stay in. Like if you just go outside, you'll break out of that kind of crazy feeling, right?
That's why I'm in Venice. That vitamin D, that sun is everything.
Yeah, you need that sun, and being able to hear the ocean is just like an amazing thing.
And people watching. Like I get coffee and sit to my dog and just watch people. And
my God.
I mean, I don't need Hulu or Netflix. Right. I have the Boardwalk.
That's true. They need a show on there called The Boardwalk.
Yeah.
There'd be like a lot of characters.
It'd be horror, it'd be comedy, it'd be drama, it'd be everything.
So growing up here in LA, I grew up in LA too, and I was heavily influenced by, listening to the radio, listening to KCRW, listening to Power 106 late at night, Friday Night Flavors. I've heard you talk about that. I think probably you have other, I heard you mention, I think before the Baker Boys.
The first time I heard house and hip hop in the morning, I was like, whoa, this is great. Like,
right?
Those used to be like 2 different sides of the spectrum. But like the Baker Boys just blended it.
Yeah,
and I
that's
thought that was
true.
so masterful.
That's so cool. Yeah. Me too. I loved hearing, like when I was doing college radio, I was trying to blend drum and bass and hip hop because I'm like, those are the 2 things I love. You know what I mean? I want to like put them together. And like, I think back then it was rare to hear the genre blending, and especially coming from people that are supposed to be hip hop, only. But they're willing to like be open minded. And back then it wasn't as cool to be open-minded, I guess.
But Bahamadia did it. Like Bahamadia has this song with Ronnie Size that's just mind-blowing. KRS One did it. I feel like Goldie was like so ahead of his time in terms of like blending these 2 cultures.
Yeah. And jazz, like Brown Paper Bag. I mean, just the stand-up bass line. Yeah. It's like iconic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so dope.
Yeah.
And so who were some of your influences, your early influences
on radio?
Coming up? Yeah, on radio or just as a DJ, like being in LA?
Easy. I mean, Theo on the beat.
Okay.
Like he did something, I think, to a lot of us where he would talk to a kid on the phone and be like, "Did you do your homework? All right. You tell your mother
oh
you love
my God,
her."
Theo. I almost forgot about him. He had such an iconic voice. You're right.
Man. And then that was the era when like Tupac was hot. Yeah. And you were just so proud to live in LA. And then you had Art LeBeau doing the shout outs to like people and like people in jail, and like it was so beautiful. J-Rock and the Beat Junkies Friday night after a gig or on the way to a gig.
Right.
It was so masterful. And also like KCRW had this cat by the name of Michael Mixon Moore who was mind blowing. He would edit and splice up the news and throw on beats underneath it. And it was like the newspaper before the newspaper, but like with a soundtrack.
Wow.
And he was so ahead of his time. This was like right around the 92 riots.
Yeah.
And I would listen, and as a kid, you know, because you go to the right, you find Power. I'm like, what's up to the left? And then I'd find 89.9, like, what is that? And I'd hear these cool jazzy beats. And then I hear this guy named Joe Frank, who was like a story writer. He would say like, a guy walks into a bar, sits next to a woman. They make eye contact. I'm like, what am I listening to? But cool beats underneath it. And this dude, it taught me the mystery of radio. Like, you don't have to be in front of the camera, but you could be this mystery, you know, that make people lean in. And it was like storytelling. And,
that's so cool.
And so, yeah, those were all things that really intrigued me. And like, I remember I was too young to go out to the clubs, so I'd sit with my radio, look out at the stars, and I'd explore the radio, and I'd find these things.
Yeah.
I used to call Big Boy at like 3 a.m, like, can you play Far Side? Can you play Ghetto Boys? You know, and he was really cool, you know. Yeah. It was fun.
That's so dope.
Yeah,
oh my God. Yeah, we're so lucky. We had so many good shows on the, you know, even on mainstream radio on Power 106, just to hear J-Rock doing doubles of breaks and funk songs in the middle of the night. It was like, I couldn't get enough blank tapes, you know, like God just recording it with the static on there. And
I remember seeing my cousins in New York and hearing like Hot 97 back in the day. Like, and like I used to take like my cousins' Depeche Mode CDs or cassettes and like record like Hot 97 and like hearing Black Moon. And I'm like,
when I would get tapes from people or that was the legendary, you know, Stretch and Bobbito.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, and just you'd get a tape from your friend in New York and be like, what is this? This is like my dream show. Yeah.
I still listen to Stretch and Bobbito tapes like on my way to KCRW or when I'm getting ready for my show because I want that energy that they had, that connection.
It's such a loose, fun energy. It was just pure fun, you know, and pure, genuine who they are musically, personality.
But they also broke the rules. Like what you're taught in radio, they don't do.
Right.
And I love that. Like that's human. I feel like I'm sitting next to these two dudes on a train and having a great time.
Totally. Yeah. They're making fun. Exactly. Like even during the pandemic, I went on, you know, Clubhouse was big for a minute. And I went into some room and Stretch Armstrong's in there. And like, you know, I know him, but I don't really know Bobbito. And Stretch pulls me onto the little stage. And I was like, oh, great. And so instantly Bobbito is just making fun of my hair, starts roasting me about the shampoo and like all the things. And I'm like, all right, this is like a rite of passage. I'm like, if I'm going to be roasted by anybody, Bobbito on a Stretch and Bobbito stage.
You made it.
That made me feel pretty good. I was like, I wish I could have recorded this.
Yo, I picked them up from the airport one time and the agreement was they would do my show, but I would record it as I drive them to their hotel. Now they're great friends, but they were roasting some dude at the airport, and it was like the best. Like having been a fan and hearing them, like that's not a shtick. Like they really roast people.
Oh, it's amazing. It's the best. Yeah,
and I'm like, oh my God, it's gold. Should I hit record? You know, it was gold.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so dope. I mean, yeah, so they break the rules on radio, and it's almost like we've had a good amount of people on this show that are in radio, but I think you have the most, you seem to have the coolest job or maybe the most freedom too, because a lot of the people are on, you know, traditional radio or satellite radio where they have these playlists and heavy rotation and, you know, they play the same song 400 times a day because that's just kind of like the business and the selling of the ads. And KCRW is a listener-supported station, which, you know, it's almost like DJs were just discovering that through Twitch and Patreon now in the past couple of years that, hey, I can put things out in the world or through podcasts and people will support it. But KCRW and that model has been going on for a really long time. And it gives you guys the freedom to kind of be creative and also please a different set of people, right? Not the just, hey, play this song now. You know, like more open-minded or intellectual or different crowds, right?
Well, yeah, we see it when we do live events and then we meet people. I mean, I always tell people the analogy I use is when you're playing at KCRW, whether it's in the morning or like late night radio, you're throwing a football into the sky and you don't know who's catching it. And then when you do the live events and people come up to you and say, yo, KCRW, you're like, oh, you caught the ball. Oh, you caught the ball.
Right.
And it's beautiful because these are like lawyers, doctors. These are people that drive buses. These are people who don't know what DJ culture is.
Right.
So in a way, you're this conduit of new music, you know, from the mom driving her kid to school to the guy who works for the city. Like all these different people, and what unifies them is their love for music, and they don't have the time to record dig. They don't have time to like find the new stuff. So we're kind of that for them, which is the role of a DJ.
Yeah.
And with, like you said, a lot of freedom. And sometimes I'm even like, yo, this is too good to be true. Like we have this much freedom. Like, okay, we're going to go there, you know?
Right. No, I listened to the show, I think it was this morning, that you started with, like, the Tom Scott song.
It was Jefferson Airplane.
Oh, it was
which
Jefferson.
was covered by Tom Scott.
Yeah, sorry.
Which was later sampled by
Pete Rock, and They Reminisce Over You.
Exactly.
And you started, but it was crazy because I had been, preparing for this interview and listening back through some of the stuff, which actually I never realized, sadly, that you guys had an app that I could listen to all the past shows, because I love the show, but I didn't realize that. Yeah. I didn't realize how advanced the app was too, that like I synced my Spotify to it this morning, and then all of a sudden I was like saving the song into my Spotify, and then I found your guys' playlist, and then I was like going crazy.
By the way, I knew you were researching me because I woke up and saw DJ Spider like all my posts for like the past month. I'm like, oh, he's researching me.
Well,
I know
it's funny because I have followed you forever, you know, and I've seen your photography, which is great, and I just see you're such a creative person, you know, like, and you just like, I feel like art, you know, like you have an artistic eye, ear, brain, you know, all of it. But sometimes my thing stops showing me people or something. Like I hadn't seen your posts in a minute, and I was like, did it unfollow him? And then I was like, oh no, I've been following him. So I went through, I liked ones that I hadn't seen, and I was researching, but I also was like trying to get it to show me your stuff again.
No, props to you for doing your research. Because,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah, you know, I got to do research.
Absolutely.
You know,
that's a lot of work.
I was saying when you came in, like, I've known your name and probably seen you DJ, I mean, over 20 years, you know, like I've been, it's 2022. I had been doing like underground hip hop shows with my group, like my hip hop group, like in probably 2001 to 2005, like at the Temple Bar, this place that you were a resident in Santa Monica, and like a lot of places, you know, that we both played, and I'd see your name on flyers and hear you, you know, kill it at spots. So,
thanks.
Yeah, it was like, I can't believe we haven't met before, but I got to look into, and I knew a lot about you, but, you know, not that much. So wanted to learn
here we
more.
are.
Yeah, here we are.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Am I hired?
You're hired, buddy. I think you're busy enough with your own
We're all busy. We're all busy. But yo, the Temple Bar was such a magical space and a magical time.
It really was.
Like I missed elements like that or venues like that.
What's there right now?
It's now it's like a restaurant, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's changed. Zanzibar was like the spot, and yeah, I miss all that. I miss that LA, but also I love what's happening. Like we were kind of talking about outside, but like I embrace change.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I love change in everything. I mean, look, this podcast, we do it for Beatsource, and their main focus, you know, is providing music to DJs, but through streaming, you know, and using this link technology they have, which is the most, you know, things that DJs tend to fight is stuff like that. You know,
my God, Serato. I'm
constantly getting So think about implementing streaming into your stuff. Like, I don't know, is that something you even do yet?
No. So I'm afraid of streaming only because of the being dependent on Wi-Fi.
Right. So, and that's interesting.
And here's where you're going to sell me in on it.
Right. But also and look,
here's where he's going to sell me, and I'm going to join Beatport right now. Go ahead, kill it.
But there's an offline locker system that you can store 1,000 tracks offline. So I don't think you play 1,000 songs at a gig.
I do a J-Rock style.
I mean,
I like first verse and I'm out.
I know, but still.
I could do 1,000 song set straight up. Like I like to, but okay, maybe you're right.
1,000, even if you played each one for 30 seconds, that's 500 minutes.
But the beauty of like, oh no, by the way, we're gonna get real nerdy right now. Like I have all my crates. I've got my externals. My externals are backed up.
Right.
But I hear you, and I'm not against that.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're getting, you know, probably an average gig, like 4-hour gig, maybe like a couple hundred songs.
Well, here's the curveball though, is I don't necessarily always do the same DJ set. I mean, I have like my heaters, but I also have like my salsa bangers, my cumbia bangers, and I like to throw people off with my DJ sets.
Here's my little selling point to most everyone says that, oh, I can't depend on the Wi-Fi, which I'm like, I would never fully depend on it at this point. But the couple things that have allowed me to get more comfortable with it is that, number one, most of the time you can get pretty good Wi-Fi. Also, it's just another tool to add on to your normal library. I'm constantly going to have my edits, my pre-done things, my all that stuff, you know, but to have another thing to be able to search and go, yo, this crowd seems so into Afrobeats. I know D. James in the UK makes these insane Afrobeats playlists on Beatsource. I could dig into it and see what the newest stuff is, and it has acapella in, acapella out, intros, transitions, like everything already done.
Yeah.
And you do have the good Wi-Fi. You could do it, or you've dragged them into your locker and you have them offline anyway, and you don't have to worry about the Wi-Fi.
Are these edits also available on DJCITY?
Yes. No.
Okay. So these are exclusive.
Some of the stuff is on DJCITY.
Yeah.
But Beatsource is like fully legal, you know? And also as a DJ, in the way that you are playing it on the radio and the people are going to get paid from that, that's what happens with Beatsource and Beatport and the streaming things in the same way Spotify does. So if a DJ plays it, it gives a play towards the thing. So if 100,000 DJs all play the song one time, that's 100,000 plays for that song within the digital system, you know, whatever the royalties and all that.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's some of the things.
Something to keep in mind.
Yeah, something to keep in mind.
It's there.
And I've been like digging more and more, and you know, whatever, you're gonna go to a Latin night, you're gonna go to a wedding, you know, or something like that, and you can just have these 80s playlists, 70s playlists like pre-made, you know.
Yeah.
And
sounds awesome.
Beatsource like made the deal with the lawyers to be able to have intros and all. Like basically they can have streaming tracks that have been manipulated.
Yeah,
I guess.
And it goes to the original writers and
right.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So it's not like when we make an edit and we play it and then nobody knows and they never get credit or something.
No,
so I don't know. I think there's something to it. There's, you know,
again, I'm open to everything.
But and so I like the change too, is why I was talking about it. You know, like
I dig it.
The future thinking ways. I have yet to do a full gig with Beatsource or Beatport. I mean, but I've done some where there's a good amount, or I've done some where I was like, damn, these people are into this kind of music and I don't even know this, or I need all the new hip hop or whatever it is, you know, and it's just in your Serato, like ready to go.
Yeah. Do you get heady during your DJ sets? Do you like,
what do you mean?
Like, are you in your head when you're DJing, or are you pretty
God. I'm probably one of the worst with that. Yeah. Like, I mean, before I'm overthinking the shit out of it. Like I just like to over prepare, you know, for music things, whatever it is, you know.
I mean, you know how it goes. Like they're like, yeah, we only want hip hop, and then the guy who's throwing the party says, no, I want some jazz. And you're like, yeah, but that guy's paying me.
Right.
And you're just like, and then that's when you're in your head. You know,
I go towards the person that's paying me. For sure.
Me too. Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, I like. I mean, of course I overthink it, but once I'm DJing and once I kind of see what's going on and get lay of the land for a little bit, I feel like I can settle in.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's hard to just jump right on, you know, at a spot at like midnight, you know. It's dope being like a headliner DJ, but also you got to like, I don't know, have your plan or be able to switch up.
Have you ever had an opening DJ do your set?
I mean, I've had them play songs that I thought I was going to play towards the beginning of my set, and I'm like, okay, let's switch that up. You know, that happened over the past 2 weeks, all my sets. I feel like I was like, oh shit.
What was that one song, that heater that you couldn't wait to play?
Well, it wasn't that. It was more just like there's a few songs that are really big in these bottle service clubs in Vegas or in wherever I was, you know, like Peppa's and like some of these songs that are just like, you know, I'm going to play it as the person coming on at midnight or 1 a.m.
Yeah.
But the person before me played it like right before I went on both times. And I'm like, I don't care. Look, you could play every hit song for the past 5 years and I will still come out and I could rock the whole night. I don't care. There's enough music. Like I was having this conversation with somebody and I'm like, we've been having this conversation forever, 15 years ago. Now there's been 15 years of songs since we had that conversation. Yeah. So if you can't make it work, then you have a problem.
It's always about adapting and overcoming.
But it is kind of like, there's this big debate on Twitter right now where people are like, oh, the opening DJ should do this, the closing DJ this, the headliner. And then they're getting so mad and saying, no, you got to show off, you know, and get your set in as the opener. And it's like, I just look at it as like food. Like you don't go to the restaurant and they give you like a huge steak or like whatever it is, a fried eggplant, you know, dinner, like whatever your preference is for food. Yeah. And then they give you a tiny appetizer. And then like there's a reason why they kind of course it out and they give you this to start and then this and they're building it up. And that's what you're doing with the music. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
there's a beginning, middle, end.
Right.
And you know what? I'm going to jump around here. So I'm a big fan of wrestling. And one of my favorite wrestlers is Roddy Piper.
Oh, yeah.
And
Legend.
and I was listening to, he was on a podcast before he passed away. And he said, you know, in wrestling, we tell stories, but we don't talk. Our moves are the words. And I was like, yo, like that applies to everything in life.
That's how I feel with my DJing.
Exactly. Like
I'm always like, I speak with my hands. Like I've gotten better on the mic, but like I will tell you with this if you just be patient for a few minutes. And you have
your 9 p.m. set, you got your 10 p.m. set, whatever. Yeah. You got like your 1 a.m. set, your 3 a.m. Like you have it. That's your story. And you're telling a story. And when people come up to us with their like requests, like they don't understand a story. And that's not hate. It's just like, how do you want me to go? Like if I'm in a house set and you're asking for ABBA.
Right.
It's like, come on. but also like I can't have these folks understand, like, you know, I get it. They just want to hear good music. And I'm not like faulting them. Great suggestion. However, it just doesn't work.
Right.
You know? And so I don't waste my time like, well, the reason why I'm not doing this is because it's just like, okay, we'll get to that and whatever. We may not. But it's just like, I'm not about to have this conversation about technicalities of DJing.
Like I never want to explain anything while I'm DJing.
Right? Like, yeah, exactly. That's why
like there's people want you to explain so much. They'll be like, hey, bro, what you using there? What's the gear? What does that thing do? You're like, I'm not trying to explain. I'm not here to like teach a class.
I get the uncle that I used to be DJ. You know,
what are you doing? You're with vinyl there? But what's the thing in the middle?
Yeah, what's the little domino
like, it's called
thing?
YouTube at this point. Just look up what's the thing in the middle.
Yeah, or I get sound guys that are like, this one sound guy was like, I was the president of my DJ chapter back in '89. I'm like, I mean, no, just like cool. Like we should have a fraternal family like of DJs. Love. Yeah. But then they want to get into it. And I'm like, yo, bro, I'm DJing. You know, like, ugh.
I'm literally like, I don't want to hear a story.
No stories. No stories.
Also, if you're going to make a request, don't ask if you can make a request because you could have just made the request with that question.
True.
I hate that too. Like, can I make a request? You just did.
Yeah.
Like you wasted it. That was it. You should have been like, can I hear Kendrick Lamar? I'm out. Boom.
Yeah. But I also love the interaction with people. Like I used to hate it.
I love the interaction. I just feel like you should have like a common sense meter of the interaction, like a
really you expect that from people in 2022 common sense. I don't expect anything from anybody. That's why I'm a great driver.
They've learned the social distancing, like let's apply that too. You don't need to be in my ear like licking my eardrum.
If you drive around Los Angeles expecting the worst, you'll be a great driver. Like I don't assume everybody knows the rules. Same thing with DJing. Like I just assume the worst in people, not in a bad way, but just like
true.
It's just like it is what it is and it's cool and we keep it moving.
Yeah.
Adapt and overcome. Boom.
Adapt and overcome is the ultimate mantra. You're right, because that's what I've had to learn over 20-something years of DJing is just to be zen with whatever horrible thing happens.
That's why
otherwise,
surf and do yoga.
It will throw you off so much. Surf and do yoga probably helps so much. Because like things like meditation have helped me build up a tolerance with those kind of things where before it would have just thrown me off so bad and it'd take me like 20 minutes to get back to normal.
Right.
Where I can, now it's like you can just take a second and like breathe and like center it back, you know, otherwise you're going to just go crazy or anyone else says anything else to you, you're going to just like take it out on them or something.
You just touched on a thing that I don't think DJs talk about is that moment when you finish, we'll get to that or we'll do that. Okay.
Yeah.
And you look back at your Serato or your record, you're like, what was I think? Where was I?
Right.
Like, okay, where am I?
They took you out of that moment.
Out of that moment.
Right. And it's almost like you aren't in the music anymore. You were in the middle of the song and now you're just on top of it trying to figure out where to jump back in.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, the grooves are spinning real fast.
You missed the chorus. And then, okay, we got to listen to the second verse now.
Oh my God, I hate that when they make me miss my mix. I'm like, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, we're good. Life is good. I'm thankful. Yeah. I'm thankful to be here.
I do yoga. I live in Venice. Zen.
Yeah, I live in Venice.
Meditation.
Basically, a lot of times I just think you're DJing for people and getting paid. Life is good. There could be so many worse things. Like there's nothing to be upset about right
Absolutely.
now.
Absolutely. Life is good.
But it's, depends on the gig. And if you're doing one of those gigs where you just like playing a bunch of shit you don't like anyway.
But you know what? As I get older, I realize I just got to have fun. Like
I can have fun in any situation.
Same.
You know,
I'll create fun in my head. And I just entertain myself.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of getting older, is like you just find entertainment in places where there is none.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and like even if I'm doing like a friend's wedding, right?
Yeah, same.
I have fun.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want to be like, oh, I don't want to play that. I don't know.
No.
Like, no, okay, here's the secret of DJing. Transmit good energy. Right. I would rather watch a DJ who's having fun, train wrecking, but having fun.
Yeah.
Cool. I'd rather watch that than some 90s hip hop DJ who's like,
right.
You know, it's like, I want to be around that good energy.
Yeah. No, it really is the good energy. I remember doing a gig one time and no one was really paying attention, but I was like so hyped to do the gig and I was having so much fun and I'd put so much work into the crate I had built and I was coming up with dope mixes on the fly. I was like playing a Motown song into like a Mark Ronson. So I don't know what I was doing, but the drums were working. It was that feeling, you know, you get that euphoric feeling when things are mixing together perfectly. And I didn't even know who was watching me or not. No one was dancing. It was that early part of the party anyway. And these two people came up to me and they were like, we are having so much fun watching you DJ because you're having so much fun. And I was like, that's amazing, you know, and I just feel like that taps into that where you're like, just DJ as if nobody's watching in a way, you know what I mean? And just have fun with it and do it for the right reasons. And then when people are dancing, you gotta, you know, read the room. Yeah. But like, transmit that good energy, feel how to tap into that good energy, and that comes from being genuine and doing what you want to do, you know. So I think like your show Morning Becomes Eclectic, being able to play all that music probably gives you this boost of just like feeling good and being able to start the show with, like I was saying this morning with the Jefferson Airplane, explain who sampled it, explain all the stuff, have that cool feeling of listening to that song, and then you're mixing into like what, I don't know, you played some unreleased song and you were playing like I listened to the whole show. I mean, much dope music. I was saving a bunch of it. And, you know, just being able to introduce all that stuff. And then do you look up all the facts beforehand? And
I would say in real time.
Okay.
So, but I mean, I knew that Tom Scott reference. I knew like the minute I heard
I knew some of it, but you had it pretty damn organized the way you like spit it out. I was like, oh shit, I didn't know it like that.
I learned that fact maybe 20 minutes before I played it.
It was cool.
Thank you. But I mean, I think it's important too to provide context. Like anybody can play records, but can you give context?
Totally.
Like why'd you play that? You know, or I'm a big fan of connecting the dots because I feel like a lot of music comes from something and it's all related. You know, I mean, it's a symbol for life as well, like Beyonce and like the house music. I think that's great that she's doing that. And I think it's a continuation of black music. Like I can't stand when people are like, oh, why is she getting into it? Like, well, she's showing love to the community. She's showing love to one of the most powerful music genres today, and she's given it life and she's given it extension and she's shedding light on like Grace Jones and all these folks who came before her, Honey Dijon, and like she's putting all these worlds together. And I'm so happy that she's doing it. And again, my point is everything's connected. Yeah, I agree. Well, what is, and I feel like eclectic can be such a vague word in a way where to me, I know what it means, but like, what is it? What do you picture when you hear Morning Becomes Eclectic or even just eclectic DJ set? Because I try to tell people that, I like, what kind of style do you have? I'm like, you know, I can play a pretty eclectic set, you know, and then they're like, oh, well, what kind of music, you know? And I'm like, I mean, that's a good follow-up question because it is kind of, I mean, it's folk next to jazz, next to hip hop, next to an edit. I don't know. Like it's all these different things, really. It's a stew. It's a taco with all these ingredients. It's Los Angeles. It's a bean burrito with rice and cheese and refried beans and steak and asada. Like it's a burrito. Eclectic is a burrito, you know. And but anybody can put that together. But how do you make it tell a story? Roddy Piper, rest in peace. Like how do you? Anybody could be eclectic, but like you could put on a Spotify playlist, look up eclectic, and there it is. But like, how do you humanly tell that story? How do you humanly make it eclectic? And that's what we do as humans. And one of the things I love, like it's so weird. I'll play a song and I'm like, my assistant will tell me like, oh, that's that person's birthday today. I'm like, wait, what? Like, no way. And like a Diana Ross record and it's her birthday. Like,
it's cosmically happens.
It's cosmic. I mean, I know I sound weird, but it cosmically happens often. Right. And then we'll play things and we'll hear like little things like, this dude I love, Cuco, who's amazing. he's got this new song out. I'm like, oh wait, that sounds like a Tame Impala song.
Yeah.
And I'll get Tame Impala queued up. I'll mix it, and then I'll explain. And then I look up in an interview before I explain, and it'll Kuko references Tame Impala as an inspiration. I'm like, oh, no wonder you hear it.
Yeah.
So then it's our job to explain that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's why you're a good DJ and music fan, because you already heard the connection between it.
Yeah. So that's
cool.
That's the beauty, man.
And I think you and your co-host, like, and the people probably that produce the show and work there, I think you guys lean towards music that is soulful in one respect or another. Not is genre based, but just whatever genre it is, people are doing it for a genuine reason and for the musical sake rather than a business sake.
Absolutely. Well, we don't do it for validation. Like we never, and that's probably why it's taken me, honestly, like straight up, I think my journey individually has taken me way longer because I've always avoided validation. Like I've always wanted to do it because I've been curious. I feel like I probably would have been successful a lot faster if I would have made connections. But like I grew up socially awkward. Like I really,
a lot of DJs do. Yeah,
true. But I've never joined a DJ crew. I've never been represented, and it's like looking back, I wish I would have built more connections. You know what I'm saying? But instead, I kind of like went my own weirdo way. And but again, it goes back to what you said. Like we don't do it for the industry. We don't do it for validation. Yeah. We do it because we love it. Like same reason why you do it, you know? And everybody we love, that's the thing, is everybody we love loves music. Right. And when I say that, these industry people, they love music.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's like we all love music.
Totally.
And it comes from a good place. Yeah.
Is it super hard to run a morning show or just a radio show with so many different styles, though, of being like, oh my God, I'm hearing all this music. How do I organize it? Like, how do you even decide what goes on, what's on the show, and even then separate it from your DJ gigs and what you're going to play at your gigs? And I can't imagine what your Serato organization looks like.
It's crazy. I have like a KCRW crate.
Okay.
Right. And then when
that's just separate and sub crates in there.
Yep. And when I open that up, it'll show like my bank, which is like the history of all the music that I've ever collected for KCRW. And then I have like this month, and then I have a New Music Friday crate, which is like the most current stuff.
Right.
Yeah, so there's a lot, but my favorite moment is Friday night when I'm DJing in a club.
Yeah.
And I close that KCRW crate, and it's got all my club crates.
Right.
And all like my reggae, my Latin, and it's like, okay, cool. Like I'll worry about KCRW crate on Monday morning. Right. So I'm very much a person who loves to organize, and we're about to get nerdy again. Oh, what I love to do is I love to color code in Serato. So like my reds are the hot records.
Oh, okay.
My reds are also like artists that are coming to Los Angeles.
And is this more in the KCRW crate or the DJ crate
KCRW
or both?
Crate.
Okay.
And then my blues are instrumentals. So if I like have a nice instrumental piece that I want to talk over,
that's a good idea. Okay.
And then like orange are songs that I'm kind of like iffy on, but like
they're still
kind of like them. They're cool. Okay. And then and then I have another color that are like my edits, like my Nick Bike edits or whatever.
Oh,
like
right.
That
I heard you play a Nick Bike edit today.
Diana Ross, Love Hangover.
Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah, so like, and that helps me because my brain literally goes into a million different directions, and I need something to keep it on track. Even talking on air, man, I'm just like, I want to say a million things.
Right.
But I'm like, no, keep it short. You know? Less is more. Less rock, more talk.
Right. No, you guys are very professional. Like you sound very good.
We're really not. Thank you, but but
whoever you guys rein it in. Like you go, hey, boom, we're giving you this thing. We're on to the next. Like we're giving you facts. We're telling you about shows coming up. I feel like there's a style of KCRW, right, or public radio that's different than Power 106. We're
absolutely
we're here in the morning. Oh my God.
Shout out to Gina listening on the way to work. What up?
Here we go. Okay. Sweet Bells. James car insurance.
Hey, it's Rick Casey. Yeah.
You guys have a different thing where you're almost like speaking slowly to the people out there, in a understandable way.
Well, you want to know why? Because there's a technique, and it doesn't work for every station.
Right.
When you talk like this and you're slowed down a bit, see what you're doing right now is you're hanging on to every word that I'm saying.
Right.
But did I tell you what happened today at the station?
No.
So when I came in, I noticed that there was like something red on the floor, right?
Yeah.
And I thought it was blood.
No.
Yeah. And when I came in and I started looking into the studio, I opened the door, right? And see what you're leaning in. There's no story here. But if I talk to you real fast, that gives me anxiety.
Right.
So I'm learning this, by the way. Like I've always talked fast. Like right now, this is like my babito. Like
right.
But I'm learning to slow down because people lean in, and that concept is new to me. Like, wait, what?
Right. So almost like you just say something, let it land. See the other people's reaction or picture it if you're on the radio.
Exactly.
Give them the things to almost like Tarzan to each rope, and hang on to each one. And then rather than like, oh my God, I was going through the place and you saw at the airport and this guy was like, oh my God, I was like, what are you doing? And they went to the thing and you're like, yo, I can't even hear you anymore.
There's already enough anxiety in the world, right? Yeah. Like you put on the news and like Mar-a-Lago and Biden, and it's like, whoa, you're here with us. We're going to hang out. We're going to be cool.
Yeah, just trying to flip through every app at this point. Like, okay, I'm going to go on TikTok and then the YouTube shorts and the...
you slow it down when you come to
Twitter. And that's true.
We breathe a little bit.
Yeah. And the music goes with it too. It's like gives you... definitely takes away your anxiety.
That's the point.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's our goal.
That's great. And how long were you at KCRW? You were doing other shows there, right?
Yeah. Well, I was on, I think, for 15 years, maybe 15 years. I was started off as a late night DJ, and that was fun. Being weird. I used to DJ in club. Actually, I still do. I would DJ at a club, end at 2, and I'd be on air at 3 a.m.
Oh my God, that's kind of nice, actually.
Yes and no, like the adrenaline, but then you're by
because
yourself.
You got somewhere to go. I'm always up after, but then you're so tired and you sleep all day. I'm sure.
But I mean, you get obscure and dark, like you play some crazy stuff that you couldn't play in a club.
Yeah.
But then, I started at KCSN and doing college radio, and that was fun at CSUN. And then right before I got Morning Becomes Eclectic, I was doing a show on K-Rock as well, called Alternalido, which was the first Latin show on K-Rock. And that was awesome. Yeah, it was a way to showcase a lot of Latin rock and a lot of what's happening and something different. And then once I got Morning Becomes Eclectic, I had to focus on that. And no complaints there. Like, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know you were doing some other stuff too, like a podcast. And I saw you used to do that tune-in show a few years ago.
And I did Fuse, Crate Diggers for Fuse, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was dope.
Talking to DJs, like getting nerdy about stuff and record stores. Yeah. So
that's so cool. The places that DJing can take you, and then being able to host and talk on the mic and do what you do.
Yeah. And also, like, it's interesting because I like these institutions that I speak of, like, they need people like us to connect them to what's happening in the streets, to movements, to things that are happening.
Yeah.
And so they rely on us. And it's like when you can be that creator and also communicate and connect worlds together. Like I got a call from, like, rest in peace, Anthony Bourdain's people. Like they were like, we're coming to LA. Roy Choi suggested you. And I'm like, wow, I'm honored Roy Choi suggested me, number one.
God, amazing.
But we want to know what's happening in LA and like what's happening on the east side. And I told him about this really cool collective, Subsuelo, and they went and they connected. And it's just like, again, when people know that you're the person to call, like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, check the, and I was able to shine light on those kids that are amazing DJs and producers and just connecting dots. Like going back to what I was saying on the radio, when you can connect dots, that's the beauty.
Yeah, and it comes from putting yourself out there too, I think. People knowing to hit you up, you know what I mean? Not being afraid to just be creative and keep putting things out there, whatever it is. Musically, mixes, remixes. I mean, you do music production stuff too.
Yeah. I have, I think, 3 or 4 albums on a label that Flying Lotus used to be on. It was an indie label called Plug Research.
Okay.
And it's dope because a lot of the music I made is really like from the heart, but I made that and forgot about it. And then now I'm getting like syncs. Like now it's being picked up for like TV shows. Great. And it's like, oh, there's a check here.
Yeah.
5, 6, 10 years later.
That's crazy.
Cool. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So it's a lot of fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
And so what's the prep like for each radio show, especially since you have a co-host, and I know she, is very knowledgeable in music and does a lot of dope stuff too. How do you guys like sync up? Because every morning, right? I mean, not the weekend, but like how do you even sync up and figure out who's going to play what and who's going to say what?
We don't have that conversation, believe it or not. But I've known her. We've done podcasts for like, we've done podcasts for like a while prior. Really? Yeah. Okay. We used to like do all kinds of interesting podcasts and talk to cultural figures. And it was like kind of a passion project. So we have a chemistry that's been established. But like in terms of music, like if she doesn't play it, I'll play it.
Okay.
Like today we had like 5 new songs and I just played 2 and I figured she'd play the next 2 or whatever.
Are you DJing? Like is she DJing like on turntables?
She's on a controller. I'm on 2 turntables.
Oh, so you guys both have a DJ
we're in two
setup.
separate studios. In the same room, we have a glass between us because of COVID.
Oh, wow. I was wondering
Yeah.
how you can kind of be back doing it super safely. I feel like things are pretty much back, but...
Yeah, feels like it. But we have a glass window that we're in two different studios that face each other.
Crazy. So you can't even hear each other.
We have a talkback button.
Oh, okay. So you can not talk in the mic, but you can say, okay, I'm going to do this. Why don't you play the next 3? Boom. Okay. And then the music can be going. And then you can get on and go, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, just like
do
that.
the professional.
Hey, how you doing? That's what
Not that you sound anything like that.
Yeah, but it's, I mean,
hey, how are you? No, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I know.
But right, okay. So that's an interesting way to work together.
It is.
You guys have your preferred DJ setup, which you have 2 Techniques and an S9 or something.
Yep.
And she has her controller, which she's comfortable on, and then you can say, okay, we're gonna do it like this.
Yeah, I mean, we have a little like a check-in in the morning, kind of like we have giveaways. By the way, we have like huge giveaways, like shows at the Hollywood Bowl and things like that.
I know, it's nuts.
It's amazing. And we talk about, okay, you're gonna do it, okay, cool. We kind of have this rhythm where even if somebody misses something, we cover for that person. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really magical.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you like? I definitely have heard you scratch on there and do some mixes, and then sometimes I hear just the songs end and it kind of goes in.
I love that, by the way. I love letting the songs fade because my brain.
Yeah.
And perhaps you could relate to this.
Even some mixes I heard you do where you were mixing it, but you did the fade thing.
Yeah.
But it was kind of nice because it was kind of like a dope radio mix. It was like,
it
was on beat and it went together really cool, but it still had that feeling of the song ended.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, you don't know where it starts and ends, like, which is great for a DJ, but on the radio it's different, especially to highlight songs.
Well, also, to highlight songs, because the thing is, I'm trying to untrain myself. Like, there's a lot of untraining, like the way I talk fast, and on the radio when I said slow down, that's one thing. Yeah. Also, technically, like, I love blending, and it's cool because there's a cohesiveness, and I like that kind of blend, but also there's something magical about an old school fade. Yeah. And I love when songs end with a string section or something. Yeah. And then you can bring in that next song, but some songs do the fades and it's like, you just kind of make it work because there's a beauty to that. That I forget. And again, I got to untrain my mind, which is all about 8-bar intros, quantized. Like that's out the window, bro. Right. Like,
and how much freedom do you have to play those edits? Like the Nick Bike edit and
freedom.
Stuff?
Like everything is freedom. Like
that's
the show.
So cool.
We are encouraged, and I'm totally supportive of this, to play a lot of the bands, like if we're presenting their shows in LA.
Right.
So
that makes
like
sense.
That's a no-brainer.
They're coming to the Hollywood Bowl in 2 weeks or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. We're gonna play them and support it. Also support the show. So and it's an ecosystem that's all about supporting talent. Whether you're Tame Impala, whether you're Joe Schmo and you made a beat in your bedroom, like we look for that too. Like to me, that holds equal weight.
Right. And do you have any, like, I mean, I know this is a pretty amazing thing you're doing, so I'm not taking anything away from it, but do you have any other goals and dreams in the radio world and things you would want to do? Or?
Yeah. I sometimes think about, like, moving to Wyoming or, like, somewhere.
Really?
Yo, like, like, near Yellowstone.
Okay.
I don't know. I've, like, lived in LA all my life, and, like, I'm used to the traffic and the grit, but, like, working at, like, a NPR affiliate station out there and, like, just working at a small station and just kind of enjoying nature, I think.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like getting away from the hustle and bustle of everything. And, like you meet so many people who have angles and you're always getting emails with people servicing you the new record. Like, I just want to get away from that and just enjoy sunsets with my dog. And I don't know, things like that, man. I think about that. You ever think about that, or am I tripping here?
No, you're not tripping. I mean, everyone has their own thing. And
what's yours?
I definitely have thought about that. I mean, I like living. There's something I like about cities. I like going to like a place in the middle of nowhere, but then after a while, when I come back to a city, whether it's New York or LA, it just gives me this like rush of energy and I want to go do this and that. And I'm seeing what other people are doing and it's like inspiring. It makes me want to do things. Yeah. And sometimes when I go to a super relaxing place, it's the best. But then I also just feel like I could just do this forever. Like I don't need to go back and do anything. Yeah. Which I don't know if that's wrong, but
well, you know what I do in the meantime before I reach that is, and by the way, my ultimate goal is just happiness and Zen. Like for real, I don't need
as it should be
a lot. But what I do in lieu of that goal is I do a lot of road trips by myself or with my dog to clear my head.
I was gonna bring that up. I saw on your Instagram you were like, "Where should I go on my next road trip?" And I was gonna say, "Have you figured it out?"
Probably Wyoming. Drive with my dog. I mean, like somewhere up there.
Nice.
we went to Yosemite recently, and it's just nice to like listen to podcasts. Lose yourself or listen to music, and like it's such a great form of providing clarity in your head.
Right.
You know. So yeah,
that's cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, do you like where do you on the road trip? Do you like camp out or something?
Nah, I'm not that rugged. Although I do bring a sleeping bag just in case. But I mean, 2022 is such a great time where like I'll just break out the Airbnb app and try to find something for that night.
Right, or just hotels tonight or
Motel
wherever the hell you are.
Is my go-to because they're dog friendly.
Oh, true.
But like, like when Coachella was happening, I knew I couldn't go east on the 10th. So I went up north and went up to Yosemite, then went up to San Francisco, came back down, made it in time for my show on Monday morning. And it's just like,
amazing.
It's like, I want to do all that before like I can't, you know what I'm saying? And
yeah, totally.
Just like I was never a nature person until recently. Like I was never in a Joshua tree until recently. And I was never in the long drives until recently. And it's like, something clicks, man.
Yeah.
It's really cool, yeah.
Yeah, you need that nature. Well, you got the surfing and the yoga and the beach, Venice.
And I'm not a beach yoga surfing person.
Right.
I only say that because I don't want people to put me in a box. It's just like I get in the water, I ride my waves, and I come home and I'm done. I do my yoga, I do it because it provides clarity, and I'm 100%. Done. I come home and I'm watching wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's the yin and the yang right there.
Yeah, man, a duality.
Yoga and wrestling.
Yeah. I mean, it's a duality that's been around all my life. Like being a club DJ and then being on like in KCRW.
Right.
You know, like I have people that come to my gigs that are like, you're not playing the KCRW music. I'm like, nah, man, I'm turning up, and then vice versa.
Yeah, exactly. What are your gigs? I know you do Fridays
at Townhouse.
At Townhouse.
That's fun. The same owners of Townhouse, same owners of Temple Bar in Zanzibar.
Oh, really?
So it's like a really cool speakeasy downstairs.
Okay.
It's huge. I mean, huge for me. But
where is it?
It's off Windward. It's 52 Windward.
Okay.
It's off Pacific. It's like right in the historic part of and that whole area is changing in a good way. And I live like 2 blocks away from it. So it's nice and local, man.
Yeah.
I love that.
Literally walk to work.
I used to do Vegas, man, and that was so brutal.
Right. You were doing what, SLS?
SLS. Man, that was so brutal. Like flying in, and then the promoter like, you're flying out at 6 a.m. Yeah. And like I'm done at 4 or 5 a.m. And it's like,
oh my God, I've done that a million times. I mean, the past 2 Fridays I was in Vegas, so I'm like just been recovering sleep-wise like today.
Yeah, it must be brutal.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Looks good on paper.
I booked my own flights, so I've made it more reasonable.
That's good.
Told my wife, I'm like, I'm leaving at like 6 p.m. I'm coming home at like 5 p.m. You know, I'm going to
you flew
sleep.
the day of the gig?
I fly the day of the gig most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Friday night I played at Tao. I think my set was at 12:30 midnight, and I landed at like 8 o'clock. Just like popped in, changed my clothes, had dinner, DJ'd, and then I was gonna go out, try to go somewhere else because Silk Sonic is doing all these shows and after parties, and they were doing it at this place On the Record after, and Anderson .Paak DJs, all vinyl in this little room. But by the time I was done, it was like 3 a.m, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to go.
See, that's brutal, bro.
Yeah.
That's brutal. And then, like, having a gig on Saturday, like, when you fly in is just like, I couldn't do it.
I know.
Man, like
I'm still doing that. I had a gig in the East Coast Sunday, so I literally flew to New York the next day from Vegas, got there at night, did the gig Sunday in the East Coast, and then just flew back Monday, and then basically I'm here.
Jeez.
But I don't know. I'm used to it from before, and catching up on sleep and seeing people I like are the 2 things that are hard. But somehow make it work.
I mean, you gotta.
Yeah.
It's like you made it this far.
Yeah, exactly.
No turning back now.
I know.
Yeah.
Like I said, who knows? In the future, I'll probably dig back into some music supervision or things I can do where I'm living here.
Yeah.
Or I can go on road trips with my family and dog, like you're saying. But for now, the pandemic slowed everything down. It's coming back. I'm like, fuck it. I'm just gonna take advantage.
Yeah.
Hit these airplanes and gigs, and if they want to book me, I'll go do it.
Yeah. Well, they're booking you, so something's working. So keep it
working.
Up.
Yeah. So tell us about that kind of part of your world. I know like you got called by J-Lo to go play in the Bronx with her. You were in Japan. You had some story. I mean, I have a bunch I wanted to ask you about, like Prince playing air guitar to your DJ set
Prince
or something.
Was the worst. He would try to throw me off beat. Because he would.
Okay, so tell us about that. Like, what is the Prince thing? Like, what
he would? I mean, because he would come to the gigs, Temple Bar, and then at Sayers in Hollywood, and like he would always like come behind me and like tap his heel. Oh God! And he'd fall off beat, like intentional. I know he's messing with me. He would do it off beat.
Perfect musically.
Yeah, and he's all off beat, and he's all clapping hard. And I'm like, as a DJ, you're trying to match the beat, and I'm like, what is that snare? I was like, oh, that's his heel. And it's like
he's just behind you doing that.
Just behind me, yeah. And like it was so hard. Like you'd always see him walking to the DJ booth because he would sit behind me. But I remember one time he was playing the air guitar. I'll never forget. I was playing before Serato, Roger and Zapp, More Bounce to the Ounce. Yeah. And he loved it. And he was playing air guitar. And, I'm like, oh my God, I hope this record doesn't skip. I hope this record doesn't skip. Because I feel like he would look at me. And it didn't, thank God. But
dirty ass needles.
Yeah. And he would turn to people that he was with. And he was like, I could see him dissecting More Bounce to the Ounce. He's like, you hear that? You hear that change?
Yeah.
I was like looking at my peripheral. And it's like, you're basically tailoring a set towards Prince.
Of course.
Forget the room.
Yeah, forget everybody else.
So it's like funk and soul, and he had a great time. Yeah,
oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Wow.
And the J-Lo thing was random because I was doing this TV show for Fuse, and she had heard me at one of our events, and which is weird. So straight up, this is some fun DJ stuff. Yeah. I don't know why, but they had me play right before her, right?
Okay.
Which is cool because I'm eclectic. So I got the reggae, I got the heaters, I got like some salsa. But do you know who played before me?
No.
It's the person who should have played before J-Lo, Cypher Sounds.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I'm watching Cypher on the mic and, storyteller. What do y'all know about this song? Boom, right?
He's hilarious.
And he stops and he goes, okay, wait, if you're from Brooklyn, you know this one. Right? Just hold on. You ain't ready for this. And I'm just like, oh, great. Mr. Eclectic's coming on after Cypher Sound.
Right.
And I'm a fan of Cypher. So, like, I already know this is not good, whoever did this. Because I'm not talking on the mic. I'm playing like Murder, She Wrote, into whatever.
Right.
And he's just like killing it. New York classic after New York classic. God.
But he's built for that.
Yeah, and then like J-Lo has a production team, and they're like 5 minutes and you're off, cool. And then whatever, I'm DJing, I'm doing my thing, and I'm showing off. Yeah, I'm like, cool. I can't talk like that, but like, check out this beat juggling.
The skill.
And next thing I know, I go to grab something, and I look, and like they move the entire table off stage, and they're ready for J-Lo. I was like, oh, okay, like time to get off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because J-Lo's like, it's her time, but I totally lost track of time. But like, her team was like, just table's gone, everything was gone. I'm like, oh shit, I felt naked.
you turn around. And they come back and you're like, there's nothing here.
There's nothing. Where'd
like
everything
David
go?
Copperfield.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, man. Hilarious. I mean, it's just like, I'm blessed to have these situations because like I shouldn't be opening for J-Lo. I shouldn't be closing for Cypher. But like, it's just like you said something that caught my attention that I totally agree with, and especially with DJing. And people have a hard time understanding this concept that sometimes it is vine after vine. Those opportunities come, and that's hard to explain to people who have a mindset of like, what's your 5-year plan?
Right.
That's been always an issue. It's always been an issue like with partners, like, what's your plan? I'm like, yo, like, I don't know, but something is guiding me. Yeah. I'm basically Tarzan grabbing that vine.
Yeah, and you're surfing. I mean, that's what I say to people too, is like, a lot of times people see me 10, 15 years like, oh, you're still doing it or something, and I'm like, or they'll ask me like, oh, how do you do this? Or what should I do for this? Or give me advice. And I'm like, everyone's different. Everyone has a different path. And in a way, I feel like I'm just surfing this insanely huge wave. And I've figured out how to like steadily do it. And sometimes I crash down, and sometimes I have to swim back on the board, or sometimes the board's real steady, but like, or it's the Tarzan thing, like or lily pads or whatever it is. But that's what the DJ and the creative world is. I'm sure being a writer and being in all these different worlds, you have different projects that you work on, and as a DJ, that's why with surfing, you learn how to surf, and make it work. And with DJing too, you're like, oh, I got this new show I'm doing, Morning Becomes Eclectic. I got this Friday night in Venice, and it's always going to be something else, and you figure out how to make it work, or you don't. But it's at the end of the day, it's you versus you. You know what I mean? And you can look around. Oh, why is this person doing that or that? As much as you blame everyone else, it's really you can make anything happen. Absolutely. Which is what we were saying in the beginning.
It's all about your energy.
Yeah,
transmit positive energy. If you give good energy, you'll get good gigs.
Yeah, it's true.
And you'll make great friends.
And if you sit there focusing on what everyone else is doing and why you're not doing it, you just manifest that to snowball into itself over and over and over. I feel like.
Well, one of the great things I love now is watching all my friends become DJs. Like friends that I've known forever that are like hitting their 40s, like bought a controller, and they're great. And I'm happy, like good. Like, you know, I see a lot of chitter chatter among DJs on Twitter, like, oh, you're more concerned about your selfies, or not me, but like in general, like, you know, you're more focused on this and your streamings, whatever. And I'm like, yo, like you can step up your game. Like, don't get stuck in your box. Step up, do Twitch, do these things, do a pod, do things, get outside of your comfort zone. Right. Because that's what all these new DJs are doing. And like, God bless them. Like, I'm a proponent of anybody who shares music. And I think it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. And I think we live in the greatest time for that.
Totally. Yeah. I think it's only getting better too, you know, with like I said, you guys have an app, the KCRW app, and the website. And I'm sitting there just listening to the show live, and then the archive, and then the playlist, and then I can link to it, and having Twitch, and now like, you know, YouTube with the ability to do like the boiler room sets and things legally. Like eventually we're going to be sharing music, you know, in that sort of virtual world and like all that kind of stuff. I think, you know, that was something that I wanted to ask you about, was like, you know, because I saw you guys did a virtual event for a lot of the supporters, because people that either don't want to come out or aren't in Los Angeles. And I just wanted to see, you know, your thoughts on that, what that was like, and then your thoughts on those types of things in the future, you know, in the metaverse or whatever it is.
I mean, it's a beautiful thing, the fact that you can stream your DJ sets and make people feel connected from around the world. And that was our goal, because we also have a lot of supporters that live in like Oakland or San Francisco or London. Right. And that was our way of like, look, you're invited to the party. Yeah. And thinking globally versus locally, you know.
Your show is so global too.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I forget that sometimes.
Music, you know.
But also, the people who
and
catch
the people
the
who listen, right.
Exactly. All that. Like, we've been playing a lot of this record off of it's called Dance Dance. It's a Bollywood movie. And then when we play that, it's like, yo, that sounds like so 2022. You know, it's like I said, everything's connected. Yeah. And so thanks to the internet, we're all connected, whether it's Twitch, whether it's our live streams, whether it's the app. Yeah. It's about building that bridge and not thinking locally. Although, like, I love listening to shows like Giles Peterson in London, because I want to hear what London sounds like.
100%. I mean, he's always been one of my, you know, biggest inspirations. I remember going to London and seeing him and being like, who is this person? This is the best thing I've ever seen and heard. And, you know, and then over time being able to listen to him. And now he has his whole own radio station, right? Yeah. And he's supporting so many, like, the thing that's great about his station is that he's got like a Tokyo station. He's got a LA. Yeah. So it literally is worldwide. Right. And it's broadcasting from different cities. So you're getting a taste of those scenes. And I think that's what we're trying to do as well with what we do. Like, you know, we're all connected to some different thing. And yet we're like Voltron. We come together and it's like we entertain. Yeah. You know? So that's great. How did the virtual event go? Was great. It, you know, a lot of people. How are they watching? Like on YouTube or something? Yeah. So we connected with a Soul in the Horn, which is a great party. Oh yeah, Natasha Diggs. Yeah. And they. I'd love to have her on this show. Oh, too. You should. She's such like. We did an episode of Crate Diggers with her, and she's like a huge music fan. Not about the validation. Oh, I watch her on Twitch all the time. Yeah. She's so amazing. Yeah, she gets it. She's just amazing. But yeah, we got a lot of great feedback, and again, it was about showing love to those who are outside of our bubble, and and I think that's also, there's something to be said there, is like when we're talking about like DJing, is getting outside of your bubble. Yeah, you know, like I love playing those parties. We're like, oh my God, can I rock this? And you do, and you're like, yeah, ooh. You know, yeah, exactly. Making people move. I love that too. That's like why I love doing like a private event and then a Vegas club, you know, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna play insane, mindless, big room EDM music, and then go to, you know, a very specialized party, and then do a party where they tell me to do my thing, and I can be very eclectic. Yeah, and, you know, just kind of all over the place. That's like the ninja DJ right there. Yeah. You know, you're ready for anything. Adapt and overcome. Right. Ready for anything. Utilize your years of experience for good use, you know, rather than like, I've been doing that forever. You know, it's like, okay, well then if they ask you to play a 90s hip hop set, you can, or play, you know, the newest like Afro beats, you know, and just mix everything together, or French music, or, you know, whatever. No, for real. I love surprising people though. I love curveballs. Like, same. One of my favorite things to blend is like Stevie Wonder, Signed, Sealed, Delivered, out of that into
E40 Blow the Whistle. Like it just works so well. I got the 8-bar intro. People are like, what are you doing? Like, just trust me. And it's
You're like, just trust me.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And it's like blending those two different things together is like, I mean, you know, and like when you said surfing, it's funny because I remember when I started DJing, like surfing the old speed thing.
The pitch.
The pitch. Because you're like, huh, like I'm off. Like I felt like I was surfing.
That's like surfing.
Totally.
You get better at it, you know, and knowing the amount of time it's going to take for it to change and how much to push it up and back, you know, if you're falling behind.
Pitch control. Yeah. So surfing.
Yeah. Surfing, I mean, a lot of good DJs like surfing, and there's probably a reason why. You know, our job and our DJ sets, everything is so fluid. You know, you have to be in that fluid mindset for everything to be able to work. And if you're too rigid, it's not going to work out.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's fun.
So like I said, you do a lot of photography. You know, I see that. And do you have any other like hobbies, you know, you're into besides that? Wrestling, obviously.
Wrestling is like my favorite. I love going to indie wrestling shows.
Oh my God. I've seen you shoot like some stuff of it or video.
It's the best. It's the best.
Talk about people watching.
I mean, it's funny because like the indie wrestling scene is very much like DJing. Like they're all trying to get on. Yeah. There are guys who come out of wrestling school and they're trying to like make it to WWE or whatever, AEW. And they're trying and they're flying city to city and they're like, they're just like you, bro. Like they're going from Dallas to like Miami back to LA, and it's the DJing thing all over again, you know, and they're trying to get seen and they're trying to have like the coolest attire and they're all trying to prove themselves. And it's you know, and then you have the purists, you know, the guys are like, I'm old school. I only do technical wrestling. And then you got the high flyers that are frowned upon by the technical wrestlers. Like we like doing moves where we jump from here to there. And so there's a whole psychology involved in that. So that I definitely love wrestling. I love wrestling podcasts. So I was driving here, I was listening to Ric Flair, who has a podcast. Right. So awesome. And so that, I mean, obviously the road trips and just, I don't know. I also enjoy like my downtime, like just being home, watching TV. 90 Day Fiance is like my new hobby. Oh my God. Love that show.
I tried watching it for a bit, but I think I fell off.
Really?
But people seem to love it. They're always talking about it on Twitter. Well, I gotta find stuff my wife will be cool with. So sometimes I'm like, let's watch this. She's like, that's the dumbest thing ever. I'm like, that's why I'm trying to watch it.
Yo, for real. But like doing radio and having for 3 hours a day. I need
dumb shit.
For real. My brain is like, I have to sound like the best version of me. I have to be aware. Yeah. I have to articulate. Right. I have to sound like I know what I'm talking about. Exactly. And then once I get home, man, I just want to like dumb it down with some 90 Day Fiance.
Yeah, right? I need that.
For real.
And what's your dog's name? You keep talking about your dog.
His name is Smedley.
Smedley.
He's awesome. He's a French bulldog. He's 10. He's getting a little old, and we do road trips. He's my little shotgun buddy.
Great.
He's fun,
name.
Man. He teaches me to slow down. So back to photography. Yeah. He's the one that taught me to slow down. Like, because, you know, he doesn't walk as fast as I do. Right. So, like, I walk slow, and I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, that'd be a cool photo. Let me take a photo of that. So he forces me to kind of look around and absorb my environment. So dogs are awesome like that.
Yeah. No, that's the truth.
You have a dog?
I do have a dog.
Yeah.
She's insane. Yeah. But it was like my son had begged for a dog for probably like 5 years. And I was like, there's no way. Because I knew it was just a lot of new things were going to happen. And it was going to make things harder to like go do things. But we gave in, got him the dog. And now it's all of our dog, obviously. Yeah. She loves me.
You smile now. So I feel like that was a good call.
No, definitely good. You know, it's a lot. Like we went to Europe for a month for him to do these soccer tournaments. And I ended up DJing. We went on this crazy trip. Like we just got back. Like, and, you know, finding somewhere for the dog to stay was like a whole thing. I'm like, we ended up paying like almost $2,000 just to have the dog sleep somewhere. And I'm
like,
have
any friends who could watch your dog?
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to put it on the friend too, because I don't trust. Not that I don't trust them, but like I don't know if I'd trust me to watch someone else's dog. You know, it's your dog. You want to give it a professional. There are these people. You know, it was like a private house of people that we trust. That like that's what they do. You know,
I mean, it's like a kid.
Yeah, dog. I'm not going to leave her for a month with just random people and not know what's happening. Like, I want to make sure she gets the right food and walks and, like, has a good life. Yeah. After a month, we were like, is she even going to know who we are? You know?
What was that like when you came home, though?
Oh, she was going nuts, you know, just like, oh, my God. I think I was gone. I think I'd already gone to Vegas, and she came home to my family, and then I came home a few days later and was like, hey, I'm still alive.
Yeah.
But same thing. I walk her, every day, and teaches me to slow down. I love taking pictures of things and stuff like that. I'm not as into it as you, but yeah, even during the pandemic, going on walks with my family and with my kid, and just kind of having nothing to do. So you're just like trying to figure out what every plant is, and just like look at every little tiny detail, which is nice, and enjoying life, especially with how fast paced our lives are, and,
man,
and the music and all that stuff.
The dogs definitely help, especially during a pandemic. It was nice to have a dog.
For real. I mean, it was like something to look forward to. Like, I have to walk the dog, which was like the best thing ever.
Well, I love after DJ gigs coming home to my dog.
I know.
And then, because I live right off the boardwalk, so we walk on the beach, and it's the best way to recalibrate my ears, hearing the waves, and it's like just me and my dog. It's heaven.
I know. Yeah, the ocean is the ultimate, being able to be by there.
Yeah.
What are, you get to interview so many amazing people. Like, who are some of the coolest people you've been able to interview lately?
Man. Nipsey Hussle was my favorite. Well, before he passed.
Yeah.
That one still like sinks in because of the stuff he was talking about. Like he was talking about just life lessons, like financial things, and talking about, what did he said something about there's a formula, like you get locked into the grid of what you think, how you should approach things creatively.
Yeah.
He says every now and then he likes to break that grid, kind of approach it differently. And so that's like his challenge.
Yeah. And
I don't know why, but when you asked me that, was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah. But he's amazing. He's such a tragic loss.
Yeah. Just really like ahead of his time. But lately, I love talking to young creatives and getting into their heads, because like the way we got into music, it's a way different time. And, I think the younger generation embraces mental health in a way we didn't. Like, I think we were just like, suck
and
it
just
up.
all around health, like earplugs and like eating right and exercising and the mental health parts. And like, none of that we were just like, go to the rave and do the craziest shit ever.
Suck it up, brother.
Right.
And
Don't talk about anything. You got to be cool. Yeah.
No, but we've been talking to like a lot of creatives that are, talking about how mental health has contributed or not to their craft. And it's like,
very true.
I love learning about life through creatives and talking to people. Like, I'm very curious. And I think like when I speak, like Novena and I, my partner, like we want to connect. And one of the things that I've learned is like, if you could tap into a creative's inner voice, then you got them. I don't want to talk to what you're here to promote.
Yeah.
Like, we can do that, but like, I want to know what's going on in your head. Like, I love talking to artists about like self-doubt or challenges. Like, we always talk about, okay, cool, the record's out, congratulations. But like, let's talk about the hard work that went into it.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes I'll bring that up on this show. Like, what are some things of like rejection that have helped you in a way, or like things that, or there ever a time where you were going to quit and then there was something that brought you back into it, things like that, because that is interesting. And I think that helps for other people to hear that, to know, oh my God, that's the things I'm dealing with, and I can use that as inspiration or make it through,
Yeah. Also, it's great too when we talked about this before we hit record, but like sometimes you hope you have a connection with an artist, and then it's magical when you do, and you're like, oh wow, I was nervous about nothing.
Right.
And then you end up, I love becoming a fan of an artist after talking to them.
Yeah, totally.
Like, it's like, oh,
it's happened to me so much with this podcast even too, because I've researched the people and understand so much more about them, listen to all their stuff, and then I'm like an advocate of them after, just so many DJs. I'm always like telling their story to other people now when I travel around. I'm like, no, they were on my podcast and they do this and they came from this. And, it's just cool to like.
Yeah. I also I watched one of your episodes with Richard Humpty Vision.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that dude, that's another one right there. Power Tools that I grew up on.
Same.
I mean, I felt like he transported me to some rave in the UK. You know what I'm saying? Like, and just listening to him drop that knowledge was like.
Totally.
Was gold. So I feel like, I say all that to say that what you're doing is great. It's a time capsule into lives and perspectives. Some of the forefathers of like, like this is really history. But those guys.
You and everybody. And that's what I was saying to my friend he's an editor of documentaries and stuff. And I'm like, I'm like capturing all this stuff, like you said, like a time capsule, because even the 2 years of interviews I did during the pandemic was a time capsule in that sense. And listening back to some of them, it was like, our brain was in such different places each month during all of that, and still is today, So and just to see how DJing stopped and we didn't know what we were going to do, and we're focused on Twitch and we're teaching each other different things, and now we're back out and people are figuring out other things, and you know, and to see how DJing has grown too, to have like you can make a living doing this amazing show on the radio as well as your gigs. There's other DJs in the UK that DJ for soccer teams and stadiums, and you know, the DJ of the Lakers was on, and everyone has their own path of what they're doing with it. You know?
And that's the beauty is like we're all doing these different things. I love watching that DJ at the Laker games because I'm always looking like, how's it going to end? Like
he was on the show and I had so many questions for him. You know, like, what? How do you do this and that?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And he looks so cool. Like he doesn't look like I would be like. I notice he has like a headpiece. He's obviously getting direction on when he's on, but like I would be like, just kind of, you know.
I know.
Am I on now? But he's so cool and calm.
I think he prepares and he gets that can send him to that Zen zone that like we were talking about. You know?
No, he does it so well.
But those guys are like athletes themselves. You know, they're so on top of it. And it's just like a different thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, before we get out of here, like I guess something else I wanted to ask you about was, like we said, DJing has taken us to so many different places that are unexpected. Are there any other unexpected things that have happened to you from DJing, you know, opportunities that have come to you, or gigs, or people you've met, or
a lot. I don't know. I think it's the beauty. So when you find people that you respect that reach out to you and tell you like they love your show, like Ty Dolla $ign's a huge fan, which is like, so I'm like, really? But I'm also not surprised. I mean,
no, he seems very open musically. He's very musical through and through, I feel like. Yeah,
Childish Gambino like tweeted when I was on air, Donald Glover was like, oh, whoever's on air right now is playing my life. I'm like, what?
That's amazing.
Like, dude, you are my life. And then I think it's like, it goes back to the whole like throwing a football and who's catching it. And when people who inspire you caught that ball, you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, but most importantly, like to close, I think what we do is we try to soundtrack the city.
Yeah.
And everybody, you know, and I think we're all about like, whether you're driving a bus or whether you're a lawyer, whatever, like life is hard. Like we already have enough problems in the world. So if we can provide some peace 3 hours out of the day for you, then that's our goal, because we get it, you know, and it's like I said, life is challenging.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Where can people find you, like on social media?
Yeah, it's easy. It's at Anthony Valadez on IG and Twitter, and you can find me Friday nights at Townhouse in Venice, 52 Windward Boulevard. And you can find me on KCRW Monday through Friday with Novena Carmel. Morning Becomes Eclectic, 9 to noon.
Amazing.
And you can find me in Venice, probably with my dog, walking around getting coffee.
At Saturday morning at 3 a.m. after the gig.
Yeah, man, this is a lot of fun. Like, big ups to what you do. I've been a fan, and I love your content as well. And I think what you're doing with this is, like I said, it's a time capsule. And like let's just be real. Like, we're all not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
And like these conversations and these stories that you're sharing is like, it's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. That means a lot, man. I appreciate it. Well, it's so good to finally meet you and get to know you better. And everybody go check him out, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Play my theme music.
Let's go.
Hit the music. Boom.
All right. Huge thank you to Anthony Valadez for coming on the show. It was amazing just to be able to finally meet him after hearing his name and hearing him DJ for over 20 years. And he just brings so much to the musical culture, the DJ culture, radio culture, and all that. So it was amazing having him on the show and learning more about him. Thank you guys for listening. The Beatsourcers, as always, we're available on every platform. The videos on YouTube, the audio's on Apple, Spotify, and all that stuff. So rate and review us, help us grow the show. And thank you to Beatsource. The 20 podcast is produced by Beatsource. Join us next week for more interviews as we discuss music that matters to DJs. I'm DJ Spider signing off. Peace.